guys, Angelfish Keeper here, and I'm just going to do a quick video on what plants are best to put in with angelfish. But before I do that, you'll probably notice that I have no neons in the tank anymore, and that's because yesterday I rescaped the tank, but while I had everything out of the aquarium I thought I'll catch all the neons out, and I've put them in the tank behind me with the Apistogramma hongsloi, because I thought if the angelfish do lay eggs in here, I don't want the tetras eating them, or even eating the fry when they hatch. So I've caught all of those out, so now the only things in here are the 8 angels, the Otocinclus, and the male Apistogramma agassizi, who will also be coming out and going in the tank next to the hongsloi when I get him a new female. Because the shop I work in, we're just getting some new Apistos in, so I'll be getting him a female, and then he'll be coming out of this tank. I'll probably rescape it so it looks a bit nicer, because I really don't like the way it looks. I thinned out the Staurogyne repens and put them in here, so that's the tank now with all the neons in. There is 40 of them in here, but this tank gets 3 water changes a week, 2 to 3 water changes a week, so it's more than enough to keep up with the waste that these little fish produce. And then I've put some of the Staurogyne just in clumps. Kind of good comparison to see how it grows in gravel compared to sand like it is in the big tank. But when I first got it, I didn't even have this much. I had about as much as that, and then I got all of that and that with it being grown in sand. So, you know, and obviously the reason I moved the neons in with the Apistogramma hongsloi is just as ditherfish, because he's coloured up to breed. So is the female. She's getting plump, you can see she's getting full of eggs, but she's just quite not, she's not having it basically. He's trying to get her into the cave that he's dug. He keeps shimmying next to her and she's just having none of it. So I thought add some ditherfish and that should help, because I feel like they're more inclined to breed if they feel like they're in a natural environment, you know, with other fish, not just in a tank on their own. And dwarf cichlids tend to be better parents than larger cichlids like angelfish are. So yeah, that's just that tank. There's nothing else going in that tank at all. That tank is now stocked. The other tanks are at the shop, so I'll be getting those on Monday. And then I just need to get the lights, which I will be getting at the weekend, next weekend. And then that'll be this rack done. Still debating on whether to go for 2, 3 or 4 tanks. Just have 2 like this on the bottom, have 1 like this, and then 2 of them on the ends down there, or have 4 of them on the ends down there. I still can't decide, but yeah. Back to the main video. So plants that you really want to put in with angelfish, is you don't really put any plants in with angelfish, because they're a carnivorous cichlid from South America, so they're not a herbivore like silver dollars, which will destroy plants. They'll have a little peck, but it's not their main diet, so they're not going to destroy your planted tank. So what most people like to go for is things like Java fern, Amazon swords, Staurogyne repens, and Cryptocoryne, and Anubias. Mainly these plants, because most people who keep angelfish, not everyone, obviously there's the percentage that don't, but most people end up breeding them, and obviously you want to keep them at a higher temperature, about 28 degrees. Quite similar to discus because they come from the same areas. but not all plants will tolerate that high temperature. They'll just wilt away and melt, and obviously they won't come back. And this can happen with Vallisneria. Some species of Vallis will tolerate the high temperatures, but most of them won't. All your Amazon swords will, because obviously they're from the Amazon, which is nice and warm. But things like Java fern, your Staurogyne repens are also from the Amazon, so they will go. But things like Java fern, that is from obviously Java, which is in Asia. Your Cryptocorynes again, they're found all over the world. And like Australia, New Zealand, and again Asia. But then your Anubias is from Africa, which is, it's kind of like Java fern, and it's one of the few plants that you can actually keep with African cichlids, because it's toxic if they eat too much of it. But the cichlids seem to know that, and they don't touch it. But whereas like if you were to put Amazon swords in an African cichlid tank, it will be gone, because they're a vegetarian. So yeah, the key is for plants with angelfish is plants that will tolerate the higher temperatures, like past 27 degrees. So mainly you want to be looking at like native South American plants, or plants from other hot countries with quite warm rivers or lakes, like obviously Africa. So the Anubias is a good one for that. Indonesia, which is like your Java fern, and you've got several different types. We've got the narrow leaf and standard Java fern there, but you've also got Wonderlove, you've got Trident fern, I think that's it. But then you've got your Anubias, you've got Anubias nana, you've got Anubias pinto, which has like white flecks on the leaves, you've got Anubias pangolino, which is named after the pangolin. So yeah, there's a lot of plants that you can put in with angelfish. If you're running them the cooler temperatures at like 26 degrees, you can pretty much put anything in with them, because they don't really tend to eat plants, you know. But if you're going to keep them at the higher temperatures where they prefer it, things like Amazon swords, Staurogyne repens, Pagostum and Hellfairy, any type of crypt really, other rhizome plants like Bucephalandra. So all a rhizome plant is plants that you don't actually dig into the sand, you either tie them onto a rock or a wood. So that includes Java fern, Bucephalandra, Bulbitis, and obviously Anubias. They're your like main ones that you normally see. And most plants that come from the warmer areas have a tougher leaf, so even if they were to try and eat them, they wouldn't be able to. Whereas if you go for a Vallis, it's a very fine, delicate leaf. It's easily broke. Whereas Amazon swords are delicate stemmed, but they're not delicate leaved, and fish very rarely go for the stems. So that was just a quick video on what plants to put in with angelfish. I've got Amazon swords, Staurogyne repens, Cryptocoryne, and Java fern. They're the main ones that you will have no problem keeping. But then again, it does depend on your fish. Some fish will, you know, take to eating plants. It's not an exact science, you know, but most of the time your angelfish are perfectly fine in a planted tank. They're not going to rip up your plants. But if you are worried about that, wait until your plants are rooted before you put angelfish in. So put them in last. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Bye.